আসিয়াছ?
মহাদেবীর জটা হইতে।
এ বাবা, এটা কে বলল?
কেন, নদী বলল, শুনলে না?
নদী? সত্যি সত্যি এরকম কথা বলে দাদু?
হ্যাঁ, বলে তো। তোমায় কালই তো বললাম না, একটা বাচ্চা ছেলের গল্প, মনে নেই?
হ্যাঁ, ছেলেটার নাম কি বলো তো দাদু ভাই?
আচার্য জগদীশ চন্দ্র বসু, একজন বিখ্যাত বিজ্ঞানী, যিনি আবিষ্কার করেছিলেন গাছেরও প্রাণ আছে।
আচ্ছা দাদু, আমি কি তাহলে ওনার মতোই হব বড় হয়ে?
নিশ্চয়ই নিশ্চয়ই, কেন হবে না দিদু ভাই? কিন্তু তার জন্য তোমাকে অনেক অনেক ভালো করে পড়াশোনা করতে হবে। বলো, পড়বে তো?
হ্যাঁ।
Hello friends, welcome to Mana TV International, and today we will discuss about a wonderful book called Hudson Ganga Merger, with a theme which says merger of America's Hudson River and India's Ganga, revealing worldwide friendliness and fanaticism, openness and oppression. We have with us authors of this book, Dr. Sachi G. Dastidar and Mr. Shuvo Dastidar. It's a story of both warmth and contradictions, refugees and ancestral land encroachment. So let me introduce you to our lovely authors. Dr. Sachi G. Dastidar is a distinguished service professor emeritus of the State University of New York, Old Westbury, where he taught for 42 years. In addition, he has taught at the Florida State University, Alabama A&M University, Indian Institute of Management at Kolkata, Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, Kazakhstan Institute of Management in Almaty, and worked with Ireland Higher Education Commission in Dublin. He has also worked for the Calcutta Metropolitan Planning Organization of India, Florida Manpower Planning Office, and Mid Cumberland Development Office in Nashville, Tennessee. He founded several organizations in the US, including Probini Foundation, Educating the Poor and the Orphaned, and ISPAD, the Indian Subcontinent Partition Documentation Project, South Asia Forum, and Nassau County Pathshala, a free bilingual Sunday school teaching language and culture. As you know, his books are Hudson Ganga merger of America's Hudson River with India's Ganga, revealing worldwide friendliness and fanaticism, openness and oppression. He has traveled to around 120 countries and territories in all continents, including Antarctica, which is really interesting. And we have as well who's with us the co-author of this book, Mr. Shuvo G. Dastidar, born in Alabama but grew up in New York, attending schools on Long Island and in New York City, then graduating from very competitive high school. He was a valedictorian while graduating from middle school in Queens. For a semester, he also attended a Christian school in India when his parents lived there during their sabbatical. And I'll love our guest as well, Dr. Sumita Sengupta, to say a few words about the authors and the topic. So welcome everybody.
Thank you. I'd like to say a few things about Dr. Dastidar from a personal note. Dr. Dastidar is a very distinguished member of not only the Indian community, the diaspora here and in India and in Bangladesh, but a very well-known professor. And he's also very well known in the, the mainstream community here. He lives in Queens. He was the first elected person of Indian origin to be elected to office in the school board in the 90s. He's been very active in not only supporting awareness about what he's written about, our culture, Bangladesh, our roots and ancestry, but he's very active here in the what's happening mainstream in politics and in the community. He's highly respected. As you will see when you hear him speak, he is very thorough in his research and knowledge, very analytical, and he has seamlessly connected what you would not conceive to connect. Hudson River is so many thousands and thousands of miles away from the Ganga River. Both have significance. Of course, the Ganga to us is the mother of all rivers and the one that gives us liberation, moksha. Similarly, the Hudson River in New York also was very important for the settlers here and even today. And he weaves his personal narrative into this journey. It's very interesting. So I encourage all our viewers in Manna TV to come and read this book and learn from a real master who's very thoughtful about his culture, his contribution to his land, and here as well. So thank you for hosting Dr. Dastidar and his son Shubro Dastidar in this book talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumita, for that, lovely talk about the book and the authors. So we'll dig into the discussion. So welcome again, Dr. Sachi. Tell me how you're doing today.
Well, with your blessing, I'm doing fine. Just returned back from Costa Rica yesterday. So, fine. So we travel, and
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen that you're widely read and you're widely traveled as well. But first, our audience are, enthusiastic to know why is this book called Hudson Ganga Merger? A little bit about that.
Very good question. Yeah. Basically, I'm highlighting persons like me or Shuvo merging of two cultures. That is, and hopefully the best part of it, the pluralistic part of India, very diverse yet very tolerant, and America, who are new country, new development compared to India, yet developing, trying to develop a tolerant culture. So basically, that's the symbolic term for Hudson Ganga merger, that merging of two different cultures, two different rivers, if you could do it, that's what we focused. My children were born here over four decades ago, yet they're fluent in Bangla and in English, of course. So that's the focus, that merging of two cultures, and bringing its contradictions. We have all positives and negatives, but I try to focus the positives.
Wonderful. Because we'll dig more into the discussion. Just wanted to let the audience know that there is a Indian style hot tea and brief presentation with Hudson Ganga merger book. I think you're launching this book in 8560 Parsons Boulevard, Jamaica Hill, New York 1142, Partition Center. Anyway, this address is being scrolled on the screen for everybody to come there on May 4th, 2024 from 10:30 a.m. until 12:15 p.m. So friends, make the best of it. Whoever are know more about culture and meet these wonderful people, and get your book signed by Dr. Sachi and Shuvo. So we'll move into the next question. Just wanted to ask title here. It says merger of America's Hudson River and India's Ganga, revealing worldwide friendliness and fanaticism, openness and oppression. Looks like there are contradictions here, there are complementaries here, both warmth and hostility seen in your writings. Please tell our audience about, why did you feel like that? What's actually the deal breaker?
Yeah, I think absolutely very good question. Um, for my life, we had really positive things. When we went to first, just giving few examples, when we first went to what is today's Bangladesh in 82 to visit my ancestral land from where we driven out. That ancestral land was from 1500. They established the village. By the way, Dostidar was added by a Islamic Persian ruler. It's a Persian word. Our original last name is Ghosh. So we in India we have double last name, Ghosh Dostidar. My parents didn't used to write, but what the positive part of it is that as I went, a Muslim gentleman whom we knew briefly in America, he comes to the airport and takes us to his home to live for, not to hotel. And then I bought a ticket to go to our village. We had to buy an overnight ship. We call ferry journey. You have to go by boat. And here comes a stranger who saw me buying the ticket, and all of a sudden comes and says, "Are you Hindu?" I said, "Yes." He said, "No, I'll not allow you to go. You don't know my homeland. They will not tolerate you." I said, "Listen, I have to go." And what does he do? He was a top guy of one of the top most industry. In the evening, he brings his daughter and rides the boat and try to protect us. Can you believe this? Overnight journey. So we are very honored to have all these people. First time, and similarly, when I first time went to Pakistan, their families, my students' parents, wants us to live with them, and another family was a Christian Pakistani who wanted us to live with them. So it's a hotel. You see the and they took us around. And second time when I went to Pakistan for a conference in Peshawar University, and then from we're riding back to Lahore in the same bus, two ladies who also went to the conference. He says, "Uncle, we are not going to let you stay in a hotel. You have to come to our house." So these are the positive sides that we often do not see. And by the way, in Pakistan, they asked me to help some of the people who came in the conference to bring back a pre-Islamic Shiv Mandir there. They were all Muslim. So this is the positive part, what we often do not see. And that's what kept me going.
Okay.
And then of course when we built Promini Foundation to help, a lot of Americans came to help us. But I'm really honored. One village, a Hindu family, wanted me to say, "Uncle, please stay at our home." What do they have? As the bed, they have a torn sari, and in the head pillow, was a roll of what you call this grain stick. That's they have made it a roll, and so that's their. So I feel honored that they saw me as a part of them, which is and there are a few others similar examples. So that gives you really energy. And when you see people who are surviving and progressing, it makes you feel really positive.
So welcome Shuvo as well. And I know you are the co-author for this book, Hudson Ganga merger. How are you doing today? And tell me, why did you as well co-author with your dad?
Well, your first question, I'm doing well. I was doing well, but now that whenever there's an issue with computers, I need not tell you this, but it's very frustrating, especially when it's something significant like this discourse right now. I had even selected a passage from the book that I thought would be quite relevant to the title and the subject matter of the book.
Go ahead.
In is how it shows that the significance of and the existence of a connection between the Hudson and the Ganga. And this is about it's a gentleman who is he is, I have always referred to him as J Kaku, and he was one of the first people who Ma and Baba had met in America. And what I wanted to read was be actually too much too much time to go on, but what it brings into the picture for on my end is that he's a Jewish faith, and he was the first person to actually pick Ma up from the airport. So this was the first person that Ma was meeting in America. And this is a man who, like I said earlier, he is the person who both myself and my sister have always called J Kaku. His name J Uncle. His name is J Hyman, but without Ma or Baba telling us to, Didi and I have always referred to him as J Kaku. But what I was going to say was in terms of the Jewish and the Hindu / Ganga interaction is that he, at my own wedding, he gave a sermon, and at many other events, he has brought in Judaism as well, and it's not that there is any sort of divide amongst people because of their religion or their ethnicity. And the book has when he passed away, he was one of the first to die because of Corona. Unfortunately, we are planning to celebrate our 50 years of friendship, but he passed away. We were the one who did his service. Actually, Bangladesh Swamiji of Paras Seva Sangha performed a service for him because we didn't know very many people here to do. He was even a board member. Like, it's not just that he was supporting us with some sort of financial donations, but the man, he was there for us for everything, and so that's also joined the other cultures.
Wonderful. So just wanted to, because this is about the Hudson Ganga merger, the program on May 4th. So we'll kind of make it a little short. We'll do a lot of interviews actually. I mean, this it is very interesting. I want to know more about your journey, the widespread journey. I want to sit for hours with you and have a fireside chat. I mean, it's really heartwarming as well to to know more about people who are actually talking about real life stories than talking about possessing things and things. I mean, and I know it's a very emotional story, packed with lot of both good and bad situations in life. Absolutely. Would just for our audience, if you can
If I
run
may
through-
just interject, sir.
Yes,
I just wanted to include that Ma and Baba and their friends, they had started a Bangla school, or Bachala, and on weekends we have been taught to not just speak but also read and write Bangla, and
Wonderful.
this was of their doing, and here, and we had no problems with it. I mean, I'm talking about my generation.
So
True.
let me
I
quickly add.
mentioned that in the introduction. Yes, absolutely. Nice.
Let me just quickly add, because we'll run out of time soon. The contradiction, for example, that I wrote is that here I found many people, not only Westerns, but also Indians, are very hypocritic, that when things like that we are being driven out, they wouldn't write a single line. Or elite papers from New York, Washington, or London, they would not write any footnote. But if there's a tiny thing happens in India, they would have full page write-up. And that is often supported by our racist elites. I call racist, that's my word, because they would not do that. They would not say the right thing. Even those who fled from East Pakistan, Bangladesh, they would not say a word, which is, I mentioned before, and I was part of them when I grew up in my 20s, early 20s. But that's what the chapter says: friendliness and fanatism, oppression and openness. Those are the things that I highlighted. Little bit.
Okay. You were mentioning about warmth, friendliness, contradictions, double standards, hypocrisy, persecution, prejudicial writings, and dishonest presentations by Western and Eastern media. Before I ask you about a rundown of the book, a little bit about that, to our audience.
Yeah. So that's, as a teacher, as a professor, and I taught human rights. Also, another popular course was politics of India and South Asia. So I had to deep into all these nations. What people in the world wouldn't even realize, we were refugee, that we will not be saying it to outsiders. You are, at least in Kolkata, you probably have heard the word. But if you go further in Bihar or Delhi, they wouldn't even know. But in West Bengal itself, there's almost 50 to 60 million people of Bangladeshi origin. Why are you not defending ourselves? So that has been, I'm not going to name names, but there are very, very important, talented people in America who were born there, but they are working here in top positions, wouldn't even defend those who are left behind, or defend the secular, tolerant Muslims who are trying to protect minorities there. So these are the contradictions. Not until you see through your own eyes. That's also the reason why I have used colored pictures, because seeing something through your own eyes and knowing that we are censoring it not just in India but also in the West, that is a democracy cannot survive by censorship.
Great.
And I wanted to say, just following up with what my father said about seeing it, not seeing it through your own eyes and not other eyes, and that being in my case, I actually, when I was in undergrad at Vassar, I wanted to see things, which is like, my thesis was ethnic conflict in post-colonial states, but it was a a case study of Fiji, Iraq, and Lebanon, which is an odd selection, but because of the summer between junior and senior year, I was a Ford Scholar and I did research on Fiji, and where you learn where there's a monstrous sized Indian diaspora living there.
Oh, really?
And
Nice.
they have been looking to make connections with Indians of anywhere, and it's just something which was lacking for them, and I wanted to. If I hadn't been working with a professor who told me that, and I followed through with doing my own research, that's given me my own set of eyes in terms of looking at what has happened, what is happening, and what shall happen, perhaps.
There is a picture of Pakistan, as I said, you'll see it's a colored picture. It's in Pakistan, Peshawar, and we are standing, and Shefali was wearing sari, I was wearing Indian shirt, and everybody liked it. Everybody said we should be, this is you're part of us. So it feels very good, you know. But the mainstream often censors that.
And when we went to Pakistan, I actually I had no insight into any sort of ethnic conflict or religious issues. I just knew that it was somewhere that needed to be helped, and I was going along with my ma and baba on that.
Got it. So I think that's the reason this book took birth, because of many reasons, obvious reasons, and especially when you mentioned dishonest presentations by Western and Eastern media, where lives didn't matter. So I think you wanted to bring all the story to life in the form of this book. So because we are talking about this book, Hudson Ganga merger, to give a rundown about your book, because you're presenting it on May 4th in New York. Tell us a few things about the book, just summarize different chapters if you want, so that to whet the appetite of the audience.
So, yeah.
For them to show up, give you support.
Yeah. So these are chapters we have. Introduction, born again. That was for him because somebody gave virus, and that's, people say he has to be born again, And then chapter 1, journey from the Bay of Bengal. That is to say my journey. And he also lived in Kolkata when we went there. That's 97 pages. So basically, it's a journey of my education. By the way, you probably wouldn't know. In 71, India allowed only $7 to take with you when you went out, because I had 9 stops before I reached Florida. I had to appeal, and they gave me only $50. But anyway, so from there, how do you come? How do you merge? That's the part of it. Chapter 2, democratic pluralistic norms of newly freed people. That's what would be the norms. That covers 62 pages. And chapter number 3, born again in America. That's family son. That's really his story. That how virus, before I knew that word, in 2001, how life can be changed by somebody transmitting virus, and you go into coma, and then bring back the life. And lastly, chapter 4, that chapter has 66 pages, and chapter 4, do you believe in God and miracle? Because I grew up in Kolkata, where they left and ultra left taught us that we are atheists, fine. But here I found many cases where there was a power that has made me to do something which is very positive. Because somebody, including the first example I write about, my father passed away, but we were going for a trip. But I saw in the Saturday morning in my garage, which is a door, inside the car was there. We had 2 flat tires. We just couldn't figure out what. And then we called somebody to come. It took 2 to 3 hours. As we fixed it, somebody comes and gives a telegram to our hand that father passed away. I still don't know who stopped us, secondly, and why my brothers didn't call us, which they did all the time. But this time, they sent a telegram. So there must have been somebody behind it, so that telling, don't leave. Because I leave, we'll be gone for 2 to 3 days. We would not know what is happening. So those kinds of really super things that happen in many cases, including his illness and how ended up in we were able to find, and there are a few others. So as we see, then I write that there must be some other power which allows you to do things.
So did that turn you into a theist from an atheist, or did it make you believe in
Sure.
power in the
That
world?
means I still now I see there's a power, whether you call God or goddess or mother, there is a power that focuses you, that allows you to do. Even as I said, in Bangladesh, or in Pakistan, where complete strangers taking us to their home, protecting. I'm just mentioning those two because those two are neighbors. Often we think they are hostile. There are people. It's true. There are lots of hostile people. There's no question. But amongst them, non-hostile people becomes part of a family. So there must be a superpower. What you use the term, that that's up to you.
Wonderful. So looks like this book is packed with a lot of miracles also, and something unusual, uncanny. And I'm reminded of a quote. I don't know who wrote that, but it says fact or truth is stranger than fiction. More than any sagas of fiction and movies and things, looks like the stories you have recorded in the book um, are really spectacular, and this book is a worth read for a lot of people. So, I mean, now that you have whetted the appetite of a lot of people,
really
tell
is.
us centrally why people should read the book, so that they can, I mean, those who will attend the book launch, and also those who are watching this show, our global audience, can actually take advantage of buying your book and enlighten themselves with
Absolutely.
an amazing story.
What I think is a very essential / crucial thing is that it's not just, I'm going to use the word older people who should be interested in this, but this is a book that people of all generations should be interested in, as what usually and right now we're talking to you on a phone, and back in the day, I recall when there was the phones which you would turn the number.
That's right.
So it does show how things can be adopted, accepted, and in our case, it in many aspects it does show that when I started my writing about this subject, I didn't know that it would be read by anybody else. And now I'm exceptionally glad that people do have an avenue to read what has or is happening in their own lives in whatever differences, but yes.
Often those stories are not told. That is also related. I have many books, but this is called Mukti, Free to be Born Again. Partitions of Indian subcontinent, Islamism, Hinduism, Leftism, and Liberation of the Faithful. I wrote the word Mukti, by the way, because it's almost 700-800 pages. It became so popular here. Then they asked me to come up with a smaller edition. This is the smaller edition. This was in 2001, but still it is quite big. But this is the word Mukti I have heard, especially in Bangladesh, very, very poor, oppressed people. They would say they believe in rebirth, but they say we want to be free, Mukti, free from this oppression. But we love our land, we want to be born here. So this some way is a continuation of that, but this one brings in the positive and the contradictions, even in a very tolerant society, open society of the United States or India. Even there, you see censorship, you see focused one way, and that's a little bit of that focused here.
And what is kind of a reason that I did continue on with writing is that like contemporary friends of mine, what they know about India is the Taj Mahal. They've heard of, and the name Modi and Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. That's the extent of my friends who are well educated. That's
all they know.
No, I mean, like, and this it does cover very many years, and it covers the Ganges side and the Hudson side, and it has truly for our family and many other families, and it should be all families of Indian descent in America.
I hear you, Shuvo. I hear you. I mean, what you're saying is that it's not just few things, but there is an unfathomable depth to not only India but the world, and especially when you're writing these stories to people. I think these are portals to bigger avenues where people can live, larger than life lives. I mean, that's really wonderful. And thank you so much for for writing such books, and especially the crux of our discussion, which is the Hudson Ganga merger.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do want to also make it very, very clear that none of this was forced upon myself or my sister, that for us to learn about our own cultures, or cultures being the Hudson and the Ganga. Those are just for the name. That's but it's learn about your history of yourself and how it should be and could be and is translated into now.
Wonderful. Absolutely. So a great message to our audience, great message to everybody who's listening. I want you I want you guys to invite everybody to this event on May 4th in New York, and also give both of your collective message to our global audience.
Well, I mean, we have mentioned, so let's see. We are doing in person because I like in person contact so that people can know me, I can know them. We are not doing it online this time because I got tired during COVID doing online teaching, online meeting, because you do not develop relationships as we do, you know. But that's a very good tool to connect, like you and I, we have connected now. You know. So, by the way, I mean, these are the contradictions that are even brought here on other work. That, for example, you are in India. Most Indians and the rest of the world do not know that every country around India has ethnically cleansed people by calling them Hindu into India. From Afghanistan, they didn't call Afghans, they called minorities and drove them. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Bhutan even Nepali speaking Hindus have been driven out. In Burma and Tibet, China drove out Tibetans. But that is not in the consciousness of India and the world. Why is it? That every place has driven out their indigenous people, yet we are not concerned.
So, do you think there is a indifference kind of a thing? Everybody in everywhere, or people are too busy in their own lives?
True. It's also, I have written in another book about what I call India or Hindu culture, which is very, very fatalistic, or which is what I use the word suicidally fatalistic indigenous coward people. We do not think about this current fight in Israel and Hamas. If in 71, over 3 million people were murdered in Bangladesh, 95% Hindu minority. Did India protest? Did Indians protest? So that is the contradiction that also brings us to us. Because when we grew up in Kolkata, we were demonstrating for Vietnam, for South Africa, for Palestine, for others, but not our own families.
Absolutely. So I think you making a point to, I mean, by both including the operations and the warmth by people, because you have traveled widely and connected and bonded with a lot of people, including you and Shuvo. I think your message is, I mean, as far as my perspective is concerned, to transcend a lot of tyrannical boundaries and become, and I think you want to make this world a peaceful place, a warm place indeed. So, and you're actually giving a positive message. So thank you so much for that. And Shuvo, your message to our audience.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just also, if you look at the world today, everybody's busy playing Candy Crush on their iPhones, or they're watching, I don't know, The Price is Right or something, Wheel of Fortune, instead of Jeopardy, which is right more in New York. But there are far too many things which are fun for them, but not interesting, as in finding out about what is going on currently and what has happened. It's just social media is everybody knows about Trump's Twitter account. But that's how people find out things, and it's just if it can be come out in a method that people find interesting or can find interesting. And I
Wonderful,
hope they do
wonderful.
in this book case.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, I really congratulate you both because you both have bridged the generation gaps as well. You being uh, uh, Gen Z and Dr. Sachi being part of the 50s, 60s, and yet you're having a synergy of sorts. I've written a lovely book, and I want everybody to show up there. Absolutely, friends. In New York, that is 8560 Parsons Boulevard, Jamaica Hill, New York, 11432. And it's called the Partition Center on May 4th, 2024 from 10:30 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. on Saturday, as I mentioned before as well. So see you all there. It'll be great to see you there and, get your books signed, get yourself educated more, have a nice chat, sipping hot tea with both Dr. Sachi and Shuvo. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
listening.
And you're welcome to come to New York and visit us.
My 9-year-old daughter now prefers chai to coffee now.
Great.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you
Namaskar.
so much.